Welcome back everybody to a late Mysidia video, and that's because my desktop computer died. It's completely dead. It won't even turn on. So I did a lot of the basic troubleshooting stuff. It is now in a shop because I just want to make sure it's repaired properly. I get all the parts. If I need to replace any parts, probably a power supply. I don't know. We'll see. But basically what that means is, I was, first of all, super salty for a full day. Like there was 24 hours where you did not want to talk to me. But besides that, I also lost access to a lot of my stuff. I had actually fully filmed and edited my Should You Pull Viga video, and I was exporting it when my computer died. So the video was done, but it didn't make it to you. So I don't have any of I'm using my laptop right now, my old laptop, and I don't have any of my stuff on it. I don't have any graphics or presets, so my audio probably sounds different right now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put a video out going over his kit and talking about him with some of the notes. I don't even have my notes because those were on my other computer, but at least I did all that prep, so that should be good for me to be able to talk about him a little bit. So I'll give you the basics of Viga and whether or not you should pull for him, and hopefully that will be useful for you, even though he's already out today and many of you might have already pulled for him, or many of you can't even pull for him because you don't have any Visior. Also, I should mention that yesterday I got a haircut and I went to work today, and only one person in the entire school noticed that I got a haircut. So if you want to drop a comment that says "nice haircut, Mysidia," or "looking sharp, buddy," or whatever else you want to say, please go ahead and do that. I would appreciate that. All right, so here we are on Viga's War of the Visions calc.com page, and I can't even use the new camera view that we were talking about in the last video because I don't even have the same thing to put the camera on, because I've put my monitor away, my second monitor, my laptop's there now. So, it's the old camera view. But let's take a look at Viga. He's 100 cost, he's semi-limited, he's going to come back several times. And I'll tell you right now that Viga is very good. Okay, he is very, very solid. He is incredibly beefy, super beefy. There's one, major weakness that I would say he has, but we'll talk about that in a sec. But otherwise, he's just really good. He'll be great for your lightning teams. If you're a lightning main, you definitely want to consider him. But at the same time, he doesn't have anything so special that, he is a must pull for a lot of people. So let's break down what he does have. The first thing I'll just mention here is his TMR is actually quite good. The accessory means you can equip it on anybody. It gives Protect, which in itself is a very good skill to have, but also it makes it so all of your attacks apply Berserk. And I was watching KT7up's video on Viga, which I recommend going and checking out, and he was mentioning that people put it on high faith units. So you put it on your mages. You put this on Dark Fina. All of a sudden, Dark Fina has the chance to put Berserk on people with all of her attacks. And it makes a lot of sense because she naturally wants to have high faith. So you could put this on Skahal, you could put this on whoever, and you would be able to have some protection, but also have some Berserk. Now, it's only one use. So if you're thinking for Guilds battle, well, you lose a little bit of viability, but really, if you think about attacking twice and you think about, well, I can maybe get a big swing that first match because I Berserked them, all my units are nice and healthy, I go into my second battle, sure, I don't have this TMR ability anymore, but I'm still in a better place than if I hadn't got that Berserk. So something to consider, definitely a good TMR. Don't pull Viga for his TMR, but if you get him, this is something you can aim for and you could slow build him for, maybe put some of those monthly medals into, whatever it is, because it is a very good TMR. Otherwise, we'll talk more about, all his stats and stuff when we look at them. We won't go over every single detail on this page. Okay, so if we're talking stats for Viga, the big thing is that he has really crazy HP. His HP, this is actually with the dream, so we don't want to look at this. Right above it here, though, the 5,054 HP is very, very high for a DPS unit. His attack actually gets very high as well because he'll put 2 attack passives on. So we're looking at like 48% attack on top of that. He'll get some more defense. His agility has options to be buffed as well. And when we look at the resistances, what we see is that he has 20% strike and 20% magic resistance. So he can buff those a further 20% on his kit, which means he is an anti-strike, anti-magic unit. Now we have a lot of strike in the meta right now. We have a lot of units that are weak to strike. So the fact that he has a massive strike resistance puts him in a really good spot for combating the current meta. His high HP also will really help with that. The slash resistance is definitely very low compared to some units, and basically what his weakness is somebody has defense penetration, if somebody has slash resistance penetration, whatever it is, they can peel through him because yes, he has a little bit of single target resistance, but he has 0 AoE resistance. And so there is a chance that against these high penetration units that we see right now, and we have ones like Hio, we have ones like Bradley, and etc. And they will be able to deal big damage to him, and his high HP total will help a little bit, but it's not going to save him. So he really does want to come up against his preferred matchups. Although again, if you run him with a tank like Alphonse, then he can be surprisingly bulky. And if you go watch KT7up's video, which I'll link in the description, you'll see some matches where he did quite well in terms of surviving all sorts of attacks from different attack types. He definitely is a lot more impressive than I might have given him credit for before I saw those videos. One other note, he has multiple 100% hits, so he's going to be fine against evade except for Yuffie. His accuracy is not that high though, so definitely you'll be leaning into those 100% hits. It works against all evasion units except for Yuffie, so for the most part, he is good to go against evasion. Just watch out for those fire evade matchups. But even then, he can take out the King Moth, the Eldira, and the Sorrow, no problem. In terms of skills, I think you're definitely going to use the Carnage and Obsession always, just because you get defense, attack, and slash pen. And then the Martialist Lore is also the other one I would use. So that's where you get that 48% attack and then the defense penetration. The battlefield mobility is also a good option because you get agility and move +1, which is always good to look at. Otherwise, his counters, I like the fluidity counter better. The physical reflex is really good. But if you use his sub job, you can upgrade his main counter. And what that does is it has an 80% chance to counter 100% hit and it absorbs 30% damage done. So that's really good, obviously. But I think the swing of dodging things entirely is bigger for the most part. So I would probably do that. You would rather dodge and not take damage and not die. Although, again, he is so bulky that he is a unit that can take advantage of an absorb counter, that can take advantage of a, actually living to do his counter. So, test both of them, but the safe one is the fluidity counter. And then his attacks here really quickly. We have a paralysis. We have a 70% physical barrier. Really solid. We'll talk about AI preference in a second here. He has this defense break with 100% hit with a modifier increase. He has a slash penetration increase. He's got a CT break. And then here we go, the strike and magic resistance increase, and then auto revive re-raise. 2 uses, really nice. Because re-raise is a skill that doesn't get taken away until someone kills you or removes it, he won't double cast this, so you don't have to worry about him using both casts. And then you can dispel auto revive on a 100% hit, which is really good. His sub job has the upgrade for his counter, and if you use this, you also get access to a pretty nice agility break, which is really good. But I also like Martialist just because so many people are weak to strike, but also it gives him courage. So he can get courage and re-raise at the same time, which is really nice. He only gets 1 use of the courage, but this is a very cool sub-job to use. Dragoon, you get 2 jumps that I don't like so much. They got the cast times, but what you do get is Dragon's Kin, and Dragon's Kin is a very good buff. So to give himself Protect is very strong. To give himself 100% reaction block rate and then even more attack, very, very strong. If you're finding out that you don't ever have to use both courage and re-raise, then, and you're not worried about the strike, because he does have good penetration, then yeah, this is actually going to be a really, really great buff for him. And then his limit burst is going to be like King Mont. So, except even better, because it has a full dispel on it, but it also has a 67% chance to berserk. So what this does is that it wins matches, right? When you get berserk on people, you win matches. They will just come and attack you. Unless you're in a losing position, they might finish you off. But otherwise, you're done. Like, that's it. They're done. You're going to win the match. So this is a 1-match thing, but it's really, really strong. So I really like this. Love to see it. This is where I'll bring up his AP concerns, because he gets 30% acquired AP up, either on his master ability or transcendence. I can't remember which one it is. And if you watch KT7up's video, he never had problems with AP, but he also was on all three maps, 3 different matches, 3 different maps, all long maps where he buffed 2 to 3 times. I don't think you're going to get to do that all the time. And I also think that you're going to buff 1 or twice, depending on the map, and then hit them with an LB, which didn't always happen in those videos. And then all of a sudden, 49 AP LB, you're going to be low on AP. So how you set him up to go down, down the field is going to be really important for his AP. If you can buff that acquired AP up, that would be really, really good for him. But yeah, definitely something to consider. Now, in terms of setting him down the field, let's talk about that AI preference here. So he's going to use, when allies are around, he'll always use his Hatred Reborn to get that auto re-raise, which is great. And if there's nobody around, he would actually use the, the Courage. So the Relentless stance, he would use that first, and then he would use the team buff. And I did test this. I had footage of it. I had it all laid out for you guys, and that's all gone because my computer's dead. So the third priority is the Veil of Loathing, the shield. And so his shield is last priority, which is actually good in my opinion, because shields get broken and you want this other stuff even more than that. So I also I had some footage of him on Dragoon, and what he did was he used re-raise first, and then he used Dragonskin, and then he used his barrier. So it seems that his survival techniques are go first, followed by like Dragonskin or the Courage, and then followed by the barrier last. So pretty good order, to be honest. KT7 Up brought up a really good point that if he doesn't have somebody to buff, he will use Courage, and then if he second turn has somebody to buff, suddenly he'll run back and use re-raise, which can mess up your order. So just be careful when you're testing him. You have to test how he goes through all of his buffs. All right, so here are his stats with the passives equipped, and you can see his attack goes up to 729, and his slash pen is 40, his defense pen is 40, but he gets 40 more on his kit for slash pen from that attack, and you can also get both of those from trust stones, from vision cards. For lightning has access to both defense penetration and slash pen vision cards. So he is a good penetration unit. He does not care about defense and slash attack resistance. So he can deal lots of damage. It's really good. He can deal like super amounts of damage, no problem at all. He doesn't have to use those strike attacks. Although if someone has a weakness to strike, then he will do lots of damage, which brings me to the next point, which is his weapon. We can farm a weapon for him. It's the Dark Worm Axe. It looks really cool, so good glamour gear there. But what's cool about it is it gives 30 lightning attack, which will power up his strike and his pierce attacks. You would just build an assault version of this. You wouldn't worry about the critical version. There's better ways to get him some crit, I think. So just build an assault version. This is preferable for him. We have a slash pen axe, but you don't really need it. We have a defense pen axe, I believe, but we don't really need that either, because again, he can get all those things from other sources and should be fine. So really, what we're looking at here is a really nice bulky unit that can take a lot of damage, but can still dish out a lot of damage, and you can focus on that damage rather than penetrations with this axe, which is really cool to see. I also had a great comparison of Viga and Esther in my video that was never to be, so we'll just do kind of like a simple one here on War of the Visions Calc. Thank God for this site. And we can see, because we have Esther in Global, and they did not have Esther in JP, so it's a bit different. I'll move my camera out of the way here. Maybe I'll go up here. Okay, great. So we can go down here and we can see Viga's got more HP. Sure, great. Viga's got more attack. Esther doesn't have a attack boosting passive that we have on here. We do have our passives on here. Okay. Esther is winning in agility. Esther is also going to win in movement just based on the passives that we have here. And Esther has just a little bit more defense, but they both have good defense. They both have comparable accuracy as well. Where Esther really runs away is her resistances, because she has very good resistance to slash and pierce, but she still has good strike resistance, and she still has decent missile resistance, and she has an attack a buff that gives her 22 pierce, missile, and strike. So while Viga gets 20 to magic and to strike, Esther can get 20 to strike as well. Now, Esther is very weak to magic, so there's certain matchups where Viga will just be more effective. But in terms of tanking the strike meta, Esther is also in a good place to be doing that if you want to set her up. Esther is even more AP hungry than Viga is, and Esther also has worse penetration, right? So yes, they both have 40% defense penetration. Esther's limit burst has 50% on top of that for the attack, and Esther can access 30 slash pen from her own greatsword, but she doesn't have any innate otherwise, so she wants to always use her greatsword, but that brings her in just below what Viga can get, and Viga gets more on kit from the attack that gives 40% more slash pen. So what that comes out to is Viga just having more penetration all around. more uptime on penetration. Although again, if we really want to, we could put Esther's VC to give her even more, and we could even put iGuy on the sub slot or something if we wanted to get even more slash pen on Esther. There are ways to be doing that. The other thing that we have to kind of consider though as well is that Esther doesn't have a 140 or a Transcendence upgrade. So while Viga gets some stuff in his Transcendence that's quite good, Esther doesn't have that yet, and that very well may make a big difference when we actually see, what she gets. If it's magic resistance in a big amount, or if it's, if it doubles down on her other resistances or gives her some slash pen or whatever it is, like it'd be very exciting to see what she gets. But at the end of the day, they do fill very similar roles. And if you already have Esther, I wouldn't say that you have to get Viga. Even though right at this current moment, Viga is absolutely better than Esther is. It's just a matter of, waiting for Esther to get her upgrade, and then Viga comes back like 1 or 2 more times, and you'll have a chance to, definitely 2 times, because we know that there's Dialdo and Raph coming. So there will be other chances to get Viga. No need to get them right away, unless again you are a lightning main and you really want to throw them into action right away. We can also take a quick jaunt on over to War of the Vision stats, and we can switch on to the JP side. And once this loads in 45 minutes, we'll go to, that's my computer, by the way, not War of the Vision stats. We can go to units and scroll down to lightning here, and we'll click on Viga once I can locate him. And what this is going to do is tell us a little bit about what's going on with him. So we'll set the parameters to top 50 usage. And what we see is similar to all these other units that we've been looking at. When we're looking at, Bradley's and Sephiroth's, they're in the hundreds, 200s of uses per day. Viga's hovering around, 40, I would say, average on offense and defense. So yes, he's not seeing, a ton of play in JP, but that's not because he's not good. It's just because people are playing the meta. So it's tough in War of the Visions because most of the units we get are very good. He is definitely good. He's not seeing a ton of play in JP now. But I will say one thing, though, is that he's seeing a lot of play in Lightning teams specifically. And there's actually a resurgence because they just got the strike unit, the Wedding Alaya strike unit. And so she is going to cause people to build more Lightning teams. And therefore, we will see more Viga in the coming days in JP. But what we can see is a really common team for him that we can do in Global is going to be with Alphonse and Lightning, and with Resnick and Alphonse. That's just a really solid team that can take on a lot of things. And in JP, by the way, Lightning got a Transcendence upgrade too, so that's something to consider. But Alphonse is just so tanky. If you can sustain him, Viga can also, doesn't have to worry about getting picked off, even though, he might be hit with AoEs and he has 0 AoE resistance. He's still going to be okay. So there's plenty of good teams we can build right now in Global if you really want to. Okay, so that's it for me. I know it's not my flashy usual should you pull video. I didn't have any graphics or whatever else I would usually have in here, and I'm not even gonna have the same outro screen because I don't have that saved either. So I actually do back up my stuff. I just made a lot of new stuff in between backups. Like I probably backed up my stuff 2 weeks ago and then just didn't in the last 2 weeks. So it's kind of a bummer. But if you want to know whether you should be pulling for Viga, again, I think Lightning mains can safely do it, or safely wait because the Lightning main probably has Esther. So just wait till he comes back and see what Esther's upgrades are, which should be coming soon. And if you're not a Lightning main, then you probably don't have to worry about him too much, even though he is quite a good unit. So that's my opinion. Skip for most people. Most people won't even have the Visior. And we know there's a surprise coming in late June or July. So definitely save your Visior to see what that might be. Otherwise, yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully soon I'll have my computer back and we'll be back to the old videos. But otherwise, thanks for watching.